So I got quite the enthusiastic TBR for the month of August. Hi everybody, how's it going? So today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I hope to read in the month of August. And actually this is kind of a pretty ambitious TBR because there's some shorter books on here, so I figure if I read those, I'll have time to get to other things. But it seems like what really takes me the majority of the time is anything that's fantasy, especially this beast here, which is Valor by John Gwynne. This is the second book in the Faithful and the Fallen series. Currently, at the time I am filming this, I am still in the middle. I'm almost halfway through the first book, Malice. And honestly, like, I'm really enjoying it so far. And basically, like, what this premise is about, I wasn't able to talk about it very much last video because I hadn't really read anything in this world yet. But now that I've read the first book, I can kind of talk a little bit about what this book actually is about, or what the series is about. So basically, like, what this series is about is these giants are kind of like back like in the land. And this is actually considered the banished lands, like where the humans went to escape a lot of the giants. Well, a lot of the giants have over time very much disappeared, but there are signs like that are kind of starting to happen in this world to suggest that the giants will be returning, and with a vengeance. There are stones that are weeping blood. There are outlaws like that are harassing the locals. Like, there are animals like that are attacking people. There's just a lot of like little things going on. There's some relics, old giant relics that have surfaced that look like they are going to end up making a play for what's going to be happening in this world. They're also like looking for their leader, and there's just so much going on in these books. This is for the Malice read-along that we are currently doing on Twitter. You guys should definitely go check this out if you guys are interested in following along with us during this. I am very excited because I've been wanting to read the series for a very long time, and so far the series has been very interesting to me. The next book that I'm going to read is A Sky Beyond the Storm. It's the fourth book in the Ember in the Ashes series by Sabaa Tahir, and it is also the final book in this series. This is a series that I have loved since it originally came out back in 2015. And they recently just finished it off last year. So there's a read-along also going on for that I am not a co-host for or anything like that, but I figured this was a perfect time to go through and read all of these books because they are really interesting. They kind of like have a jinn type deity in there, but there's tons of folklore like that's kind of woven in between everything. And I don't know what it is about these books, but I get so attached to these characters. Like, I am fearing for these characters right now. But this series is just so inspired, and I just really love it because, like, not only do we have like jinn and mythology and everything else like that, but you also kind of have a Romanesque type feel. Like with tyrants and the slaves, and, you know, like the rich who own the poor and all of those things. And I'm really excited to be continuing on with this series and reading the last book because, oh my god, like, these books are just so good. Every book that I have read in this series so far has been a 5-star read for me. I cannot tell you guys enough how much I recommend this series. So there's a few books that I'm also dying to get to. So this is a very short book. I've heard like that this is very harsh, like very disturbing. A lot of people on Book Talk are talking about it. It's called Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Basterica. And this is actually kind of a horror book about the future. It's a dystopian world where the meat supply has become polluted. And because the meat supply has become polluted, the only option that humans have anymore is that some of the humans get treated as cattle, and some of the humans are predators for these humans like that get turned into meat. Our main character, Marcos, actually works at a human processing plant where humans are processed to become food for the rest of the population. And it kind of talks like about that and how he ends up getting a person that he's going to end up eating but he connects with that person and he stops seeing them as just meat. So I am kind of like wondering about this because everybody has said it's good, but it's really, really disturbing. And I've been dying to read it for quite a while, so I'm hoping to be able to get to this. It's not very long, but it's probably going to be a heavy read for the content. And I'm kind of curious to see like how this idea is explored in this. So it's not something like, I've been kind of like in a horror book mood lately, and I feel like this is probably going to fill that gap. Another book that I'm really dying to read, because this is another horror book and I'm hoping to fit a couple of these in the month of August. It's The Final Girl Support Group, a novel by Grady Hendrix. He is the same one that wrote My Best Friend's Exorcism and the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. And the other book that I have not read by him that he also wrote is Horror Store, which is like set up like an IKEA catalog. But this is his newest release, and it is all about these girls who are in this Final Girl Support Group. And and when we talk about final girls, just as a note, final girls are the last girls who remain standing after something terrible happens and like all these people die from this travesty, and these people have ongoing trauma from these horrible things that have happened to them. So this support group actually gets together and they discuss these things that happen to them, and they're kind of each other's like, you know, help, because not a lot of people understand like what it's like to be the last one who survived. But at some point, one of the girls in this group goes missing, and they're starting to wonder if there's somebody out there who is killing the final girls in this group. So I'm really excited to see what this is like. I have really enjoyed the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires and My Best Friend's Exorcism. Those books were a lot of fun to read. They felt like retro 80s horror, and I'm really hoping that I get that retro horror from this also, because I actually really enjoyed Stranger Things. So I feel like I'm hoping to get the same kind of retro vibes that I got from his previous two books and Stranger Things. So another book that I talked about, it was the book that I decided to buy because like it was one of my most anticipated releases. I want to say it was for June, July, something like that. I don't remember, but all I know is I'm very happy to have this in my hands. Honestly, like I kind of forgot what it was about, but I know it's a standalone. It's called What We Devour by Lindsay Miller. And basically it says, sometimes you have to bite the hand that feeds you. Lorena Adler has a secret. She holds the power of the banished gods, the noble and the vile, inside of her. She has hidden her entire life, both from the world and from her past. She's content to spend her days as an undertaker in a small town, marry her best friend Julian, and live an unfulfilling life so long as no one uncovers her true nature. But when the notoriously bloodthirsty crown prince comes to arrest Julian's father, he immediately recognizes Lorena for what she is, so she makes a deal, a fair trade for her betrothed's father in exchange for her service to the crown. The prince is desperate for her help. He's spent years trying to repair the weakening doors that hold back the vile, and he's losing the battle. As Lorena learns more about the door and the horrifying price it takes to keep it closed, she'll have to embrace both parts of herself to survive. This sounds like another dark book. I feel like I'm going to have kind of a dark reading month in the month of August, because I seem to have picked a lot of like darker books, and I'm hoping like that I'll be able to get through all of these. I don't know how much dark I can take like in 1 month, so I wanted to make sure like that I had at least one contemporary in here. There'll probably be maybe like one or two, maybe another one also, but this is XOXO, and this is one other book like that I was really excited for. This is one book that came out in the month of July, and it is about our main character Jenny, who is kind of a prodigy for music, and she's investigating like these music places like that she can go to school, kind of like Juilliard, and she meets this guy, and her and this guy have this one really amazing night. He ends up ghosting her, and she never hears from him again. So 3 months later, she goes to Korea. Yes, South Korea. I'm trying to go off memory on this. She goes to South Korea to go to her art school that she got accepted into. And at the art school, she meets the guy that kind of stole her heart that one magical night, only to realize that he is a K-pop star. and he is forbidden from getting into any relationships. And I'm really excited for this because not only does it sound like super cute, but it has forbidden romance in it. It has like, I just think it's going to be like really cute. I've been dying to read this like ever since I got it. So there's a couple books like for arcs that I kind of like want to get into. I have a list of all the arcs that I got approved for on NetGalley, so I'm trying to, and I went through and I figured out when they were going to be released so that I could prioritize the ones that are getting released first. That like way I'll be able to cycle through pretty much most of the books like that I have that I got approved for on NetGalley before like they actually get archived after they come out. So one of the books that I got approved for was In the Watchful City. It is a novella, and it's only like 192 pages. I kind of like read the synopsis for it a while back, but I do want to read off the synopsis again to you guys because I don't quite remember what it was about, but I know like that I was interested in it. And it says the city of Aura uses a complex living network called the Gleaning to surveil its inhabitants and maintain harmony. Anima is one of the cloistered extrasensory humans tasked with watching over Aura's citizens. Although Air World is restricted to what A can see and experience through the Gleaming, Anima takes pride and comfort in keeping Aura safe from all harm. All that changes when a mysterious visitor enters the city carrying a cabinet of curiosities from around the world with a story attached to each item. As Anima's world expands beyond the borders of Aura to places and possibilities A never before imagined to exist, A finds herself asking a question that throws into doubt her entire purpose. What good is a city if it can't protect its people? And actually, like, this has got like a 4 stars on Goodreads, so I'm really excited about that one. I've actually finished all of the books that I got approved for that were going to be released in July. So that was this book, In a Watchful City, is coming out August 31st, and that's the only book that I have on NetGalley that is going to be released in August that I wanted to get to. Now I do have about 3 more books. I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4 more books that are going to be released in August that I really need to get to, and I'm trying to figure out which ones to prioritize with that. So one of the books that I know is going to be released in September is Never Saw You Coming, and that's going to be released September 7th, so I kind of wanted to get to that one too. So Never Saw You Coming is another YA contemporary book, and it's by Erin Hahn. And raised by conservative parents, 18-year-old Meg Hennessy just found out her entire childhood was a lie. Instead of taking a gap year before college to find herself, she ends up traveling north to meet what's left of the family she never knew existed. While there, she meets Micah Allen, a former pastor's kid whose dad ended up in prison, leaving Micah with his own complicated relationship about the church. The clock is ticking on Pastor Allen's probation hearing, and Micah, now 19, feels the pressure to forgive even when he can't possibly forget. As Meg and Micah grow closer, they are confronted with the heavy flusterings of first love and all the complications it brings. Together, they must navigate the sometimes painful process of cutting ties with childhood beliefs as they build towards something truer and straight from the heart. And this, I actually sampled like the beginning of this, like when I first got it, and then I got approved for like everything else. And honestly, I'm not sure if I'm going to end up finishing like this one or DNFing it, because I respect religion. I'm just more agnostic than I am anything else. And so when I read the first few pages of this was extremely religious, and I don't know if this book's for me yet, but we'll see like when I decide to try it out in the month of August again. Another book that I really want to get to, and I think this one's relatively short also, like this is only 272 pages, and it's called Certain Dark Things by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. And she's the same one, I believe, that wrote Mexican Gothic. And this is actually a neo-noir that reimagines vampire lore. And for anybody that knows me, I love vampires, so I definitely had to read this. Because it was vampires, and I was really excited when I got approved. It says, welcome to Mexico City, an oasis in a sea of vampires. Domingo, a lonely garbage collecting street kid, is just trying to survive its heavy policed streets when a jaded vampire on the run sweeps into his life. Alt, the descendant of Aztec blood drinkers is smart, beautiful, and dangerous. Domingo is memorized. Alt never needs to quickly escape the city, far from the rival narco-vampire clan. Relentlessly pursuing her plan doesn't include Domingo, but little by little Alt finds herself warming to the scrappy young man and his undeniable charm. As the trail of corpses stretches behind her, local cops and crime bosses both start closing in. Vampires, humans, cops, and criminals collide in the dark streets of Mexico City. Do Alt and Domingo even stand a chance of making it out alive, or will the city devour them all? So this actually has a 3.68 on Goodreads, so I'm really kind of curious to see how I respond to it. It sounds like a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed Mexican Gothic, so I'm really excited to get to this. This book is supposed to be out to September 7th, so I'm trying to go by release date, and I'm hoping to get to that one also. So that's the majority of my TBR. So there's a couple things I'm still trying to finish, and the first one is The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nevo. And that's what this book looks like, is The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nevo. This is actually a Great Gatsby retelling, but it's like sapphic and it has Asian rep in it, which is awesome. I'm almost halfway through. I started it in the month of June and I really want to try to finish it in the month of July. It was kind of like one of those books like where I had other stuff to read and I just kind of put it aside and I just haven't gotten back to it yet. The other book that I really want to try to finish, because I did start it in the month of July, is John Green, The Anthropocene Reviewed. This is a book that I don't feel like I can rush through. I feel like this is a book that I need to take my time with, because every essay is just packed with information and packed with revelations. And I mean, obviously, like, it's John Green, so you can't really expect less from him than that, like, than just these constant, like, revelations. And I love having access to seeing the world through his point of view, because there's something just so peaceful about it. So it's just so far, like, I'm not very far in. I want to say maybe about 30 or 40 pages in, and it's really, really interesting, and I'm learning a lot, like, even in general. Like, it's not like it was meant to be his first nonfiction, but I'm really learning a lot from this. Well, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's just, there's so much that I hope to read in the month of August. I really just hope that I'm going to be able to get to it all. I hope I'm going to be able to fly through the pages. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you guys like this video. If you guys like this video, hit the little like, hit subscribe with the little bell icon if you guys want to receive emails every single time I post. I'm on Amazon, Goodreads, Instagram, and Twitter. Those links are linked in the description below, and I'll see you guys again very soon.